Hey everybody, this is Grace. And I woke up this morning, I was thinking, and had this thought on my mind. If somebody asked me, it was something they asked as a question, posed as a question, but it was really a remark, a statement, a very negative one. And it was, I don't remember how it was phrased, but it was something about what would you have been if you hadn't. Chose whatever field it was, something along this line. But it was really a negative remark, a pointed one, trying to say that the whole situation around it, trust me on this, was to point out that I didn't achieve what I should have in that person's view. And it wasn't just that person, it was several people, but that person is the one who asked it. And I could feel a smirk on this person's face. I don't remember if it was over the phone or in person. Seriously, it was so many years ago. But I remember the feeling of that smirk, of that person getting a sick thrill out of it. Just making that kind of a remark. Of course, it was more than just a remark. It was everything that person meant was that I didn't achieve what that person or the others had achieved. Now, I had known this since I was very young, that I'm talking probably a teenager, if not younger, that there are some people that their whole goal, and we all know this, that their whole goal is money. Money, fame, fortune, fame, fortune, all that, and the prestige, they'll do whatever it takes to get that everybody's going to see them as the top dog kind of thing. And they don't care. They have no morals. They have no integrity. Nothing. None of these standards, whatever. It's just whatever they have to do to get what they want. And it's usually often money or involved with power and control. They don't care who they hurt. And some of them are extreme, and some of them are just your day-to-day, making negative statements and just tearing people down, because what they want is to be on top, to be thought of as the best at whatever they've done or they do. Now, for those of us who are not anything like that, we believe in living a good, decent life, not taking from others, not competing against others, and not stealing other people's ideas. That's quite common with them, in my view. Stealing anything they can from other people and using it as their own to promote themselves. They don't care. But those of us who are not anything like this, may look at the people who are like that. Some would just call them narcissistic. I don't think of them as just one, having behaviors of just one cluster B personality disorder. I'm not saying they have the personality disorder. I'm saying the behaviors of, they may have the personality disorders and just haven't been diagnosed, but I don't think they come from one. I have never really seen just one, that they just fit those and not any others, have any other symptoms, I guess you could say, from any others. But anyway, those of us who are not like that, we may look at them and think, how pathetic their lives must be, that they have to go through all of that constantly just being so low life. And by the way, low life does not mean the same as low class. I think people get that confused. But the scum of the earth, they are the scum of the earth. And we think how pathetic it must be, Some of us even think, that the child that they were that was abused, well, many of us were abused as children, and we didn't turn out the same way, but it's a totally different dynamic, I know. We might think of that, and forgive that child and feel sorry for that child in a different way when they were a child, but as an adult, we look at them and may think that they're just so pathetic. It's awful, These are people we just used to in the past just call psycho, okay? We just clumped them under the term psycho. And yeah, we think of them that way, but guess what? in my experience, in my 56 years, is that they look at us that way. Okay. Now, whether they look at us that way, they think how pathetic we are, that we have not achieved everything they have achieved. We have not earned this success, and then to them success is how much you're worth, quite often. Or how many people glorify you, how many people look up to you, and along this line, and how much power and control you have over how many people, and that's how they judge success. And they think that our lives are pathetic because we don't have that. Okay. And to them, they look at us, they may, not all, one size doesn't fit all in any of this. They look at us and they may think, we just didn't have what it takes. And to them, their success is, if they meet all these things that they believe is success, then it shows that they had what it takes to make it in this world. Okay? We look at the total opposite. That they are truly made, like I said, one size doesn't fit all. But how pathetic they are that they have to live like that. They have to do something like that. That they can't achieve it all on their own. Yeah, they have to take it from somebody else. Some way, somehow. Step on other people. Somehow abuse other people to make it. And they're not even making it as we would look at it. That's not making it, that's stealing it. That is not a sign of success, of achievement, when it's not yours. It's not your personal achievement. You took it from somebody else. Okay, and see how the difference, the way we may look at it and the way they may look at it. So, okay, and I've said this before too, many times, that overall they're not that bright. They're not that smart. What they have is an ability to manipulate people, to con people, like I just been saying, to steal from others, okay, to use others. They have a skill in that. To them, they think that's wonderful, like I'm saying. They think that's great, that's the best thing to have. To us, yeah, we might look at them and say, yeah, pathetic. How low life. See, now I'm saying it. But no, we know that they are just low. They're bottom of the, but to them they're not. They're not. To them they're the highest level, and to us they're the lowest level. Now, the thing is, we can see sometimes, how they think and why they would think that way, because like on jobs, they're the ones who are often promoted. They become senior level, whatever it is, and we don't. Yeah, so we can see why they would think that they have achieved more, that they know more, and that they're the leaders. Okay. And the thing about it is, we can see how they get their, if you can call it logic, behind the way they see themselves, but they're not going to understand our side. Our side does involve things like empathy, care for others, being loving and caring people, and they just see that as, like we're being idealistic or living in a fantasy world. Okay, so they think that we live in a fantasy world. Okay, we live in this world that just doesn't exist, and that's because they know they exist. People they are, people they want to be, and we think, some of us, none of this is, like I said, none is all, but we think about that they're living in a fantasy world because they believe that they are so way high up there, and somehow what everybody wants to be like. Okay, they think they've reached that level that everybody is jealous and envious of them, and everybody wants to be them, and they are all that. Okay, and yes, some people do see them as all that. Some of them, you can divide them mainly into two categories, but of course others, but main two would be the wannabes. They want to learn from this person and be just like them, and have all that success because they believe it too. And then there are the people who are kind of reeled in to the person. They use their charismatic ways on them, and they reel them in. But eventually they figure it out. Those of us who get reeled in, figure it out, and run away. And that latter bunch, that's the ones that actually can run away. Sometimes they can't. Sometimes they can't get away. The whole thing of no contact is just not, they can't leave for whatever reason. And I've said this before, nobody should say, oh yes, everybody can leave, because you don't know everybody for one thing, and no, not everybody can leave. Some of them have become dependent to where on this person has made them dependent. And don't say nobody's making you. Yeah, they can. And forcing them to basically be their, I don't know what you would call it. I don't want to use one word, but they belong to them. It's practically like they own them. Okay, now I'm not talking about somebody with dependent personality disorder. Or then again, I need to really think more through that. But no, this is someone they have somehow, made dependent on them. I've mentioned this in video, I think recently. I don't know if I'll put it up before this one though. But about how they work it to where that you are, financially, socioeconomically, they abuse you somehow to where you are, you can't go out, you can't work, you can't whatever, you can't afford to leave, however it is, and then they got you there, and to them that's again an achievement to them that they have managed to do this, and like I said, not all of this is one size fits all, but and I mean, how do those of us who are on the outside looking in say, now, how pathetic? We may see that. It's not something that we praise, but there are people who do praise that. Like I said, those wannabes. People these days can call them, put them under the title narcissistic flying monkeys or whatever. Okay, I know that's not really a scientific term or anything, no. But yeah. And I'll tell you the truth, the way I feel these days is I do worry. I worry that this has become, there's so many of them. And there's so many between them, the ones who are this evil, pure evil, let's put it that way, and those who are wannabes, and what's going on up there, and those who just can't get it, there's so many of those, and some of those who are not yet aware of what they're dealing with, that when and how can the decent people, the actual decent ones, get together? Seriously, it's like they're all being drawn some way, somehow, to where it's worrisome, seriously. Yeah, that's pretty much a downer, isn't it? I keep saying that I want to be able to move away from this topic, but I'm serious. I wake up every morning and there's something on my mind that I just feel like making a video about. And I mean, of course I don't see myself as way up there or anything like that. And I think that might be telling, because I'm not. But I don't see success as that, the same way that they do at all. And so back to that question, I do want to think, I was asked the question years ago, like I started off this video, about what would I have been, and I have wondered this, and I think it's very common, pretty sure it's very common, for people who have been through abuse to not really know who they are and what they really wanted, and what would they want if they could be away from these abusers. If they can go to counseling, get over the abuse, over, or, much further away from it, I guess you could say, and more wise to it, and have healed some. I think that's always going to be in the healing process. I do. But to be able to think more about what do we really want, and not judge it as success by their measures, the way they see it, but the way we see it, and what we want to do with our lives. Not our life is half of their life, at least. Some of them think it's all their life. But you get what I'm saying, right? I want to think more about that. What would I be doing now? What would be different? What would have been different? Of course, I would never know, and it could have been worse, for that matter. But right now, and sometimes I do wonder, what is my, is the word niche now? What would it be? It certainly wouldn't be a grammarian, but yeah, what would it be? So, in different stages, different phases in life, Anyway, going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you have any comments, leave them below. Make sure you read the disclaimer in the description box below this video on YouTube. And I'm going to wrap it up. Talk to you on another video. Bye.